If the person is not responsible, is not accountable for the disruption at the time in the scenario that you just discussed, what about in future, about keeping the ties of kinship after you've broken them, after the children not having their grandparents and so on? What will the aftermath not be part of the responsibility of the person?
And that's but that's what I said, right? I said that they miss out. That I don't want to say they broke them. I made it very clear, right? This was in a clear case of racism or a clear case of oppression, where it was not based upon any justification whatsoever, just to spite maybe the son or the daughter, the son, sorry, and so he goes, well, that's just unacceptable, and the imam takes over, and he does it. By the way, let me just make it clear. Even in oppression, I will never support this act because of exactly what you just said, right? But it doesn't matter who I support and what I support. What matters is what the Quran and Sunnah says. And what the Quran and Sunnah says is that it can't possibly be that all these du'as which are made out of evil, because they shouldn't have done that in the first place. So they created their own anger and their own depression. They are the ones who caused the break of the ties of kinship, not this lad. Remember, he did everything halal. I said it clearly. He didn't go and fall in love with the girl. He didn't go and establish the relationship himself. He did everything correct. He had the proposal and he didn't need the permission in the first place, but he went and he said, what do you think? And they come back with something completely haram. We did an extreme scenario, we did. Okay? So they're the ones who have broken the ties. Because he then just went and said, okay, well, I think that's impermissible. And I want to involve you guys, but you did something wrong and I'm not going to go. He's allowed to do that. Should he do that? I'd say not in, you just sacrifice, just khalas. What's the problem? You're not in love with her. You've not made a relationship, have you? There's no tie of commitment between you two. So just let it go. Your parent did haram. Let them be accountable for that. It's a human being. They make mistakes. They're ignorant, whatever. But you're going to mess up. But that person's going to turn around and say, you know what? It's never going to get any better. It's going to happen with the next one. It's going to happen with the next one. It's going to happen with the next one. That's what he's going to say to himself, isn't he? And he's going to say, I've got to make my stand, get the imam involved. He gets married. If he gets married and now they hate it and they cut things off, everything that they do is them cutting things off. And every bad thing that they do, as I just said, will not be accepted because that's dhulm. It is a dua which is not the Prophet ﷺ told us about the dua, that there is no Muslim that makes a dua and they don't break the ties of kinship and they don't do anything haram except that Allah will answer it in 3 ways. Okay? And that hadith we know. But look at the beginning of this hadith. As long as you do not break the ties of kinship and you don't do anything haram. These people broke the ties of kinship and they're doing something haram. They're basically abusing this situation and they're making dua against their child with no basis. Okay? Because their dua with basis is accepted. The Prophet ﷺ said that, right? A dua of the parent for the child and in the other narration against the child on valid reason is an accepted dua. That's why we are all terrified. But we shouldn't be terrified when they don't have the justification. So what we're saying is that their negativity and their haramness and their dua against us will not be accepted by Allah, so you don't need to worry about being cursed. But you absolutely have thrown away the chance now, as you just said, of all family ties afterwards, all of the relations. You threw away the chance. You didn't cause it. You threw away the chance. If you had sacrificed and said, I'll take one for the team and I won't get married to her, you made a haram request from me and I gave it up for you so that in the future we can have this family kind of reality, then you get rewarded for it. And you take one for the team. But if you decide to go and be selfish, quote unquote, even though it's the right thing to do, I'm calling it selfish, but I'm calling it technical legal selfishness. It's a halal one. And you're going to then have to just put up with the fact that you're going to have people that are not in your life. Your mom's not going to be available for you. She might not ever make dua for you again. And you're going to miss out. That's your choice. That's your choice. Who said this was easy? Who said this was going to be easy? Like I've said repeated in the last few sessions. There are people who are thinking that this is some kind of walk in a park and keeping the parents happy. It's not walking. It's not. There's no reward. I don't say there's no reward. The reward of this whole area is in this kind of reality. The struggle to keep parents happy is in this kind of reality. Bir only occurs if you're being triggered. We went into so much detail what birr is, right? You're benign, you don't respond, whatever. Well, if no one is triggering you and no one is upsetting you, then you don't need to activate birr, do you? If no one is I just said, فَفِيهِمَا فَجَاهِدْ, go back and make jihad yani, in their cause. If the enemy puts their weapons down and they all sit down, what are you going to do? Oh, I'm such a great warrior. I'm such a great mujahid. I did such a great jihad. There's no jihad to be done anymore. So the reward with our parents is commensurate to the effort. And that effort is going to require you to do things you don't want to do. And pain and hurt and discipline and. And I gave the easy examples of you're someone who's been abused by them and you just go try and get over it. You're someone who's been abandoned at the age of 1. You've got to now look to yourself and say, right, I have zero relationship with this person. This person now, 20 years later, I'm trying to reach out. They don't even want to know who I am. They're not even telling me their name, their location, their phone number, their new family, nothing. You still have the obligation to you to do your part up until the level, up until the moment where you say, I can't do it anymore. Physical barrier or a psychological barrier or a mental depression barrier. Everybody has their own challenge, right? Everyone is obligated to do whatever they possibly can without saying, oh, I feel so hurt. Oh, I can't do it anymore. That as a general statement is unacceptable. But from the person who is genuinely true and is coming from, and Allah will know their state, it is the legal permission for them to stop doing what they need to do. So for example, a person who has been sexually abused and cannot possibly look in the face of that person without it causing all of the problem to come back. This is a person who has a legal excuse from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to not have to do whatever they have been required to do. And even that person should still try to fight against themselves and try to get therapy and help and whatever. But if they can't, they can't. And Allah knows. And Allah is the wise. But everyone is meant to take themselves to the limit. Everyone. Whether it's a physical limit, a psychological limit, whether it's whatever limit it is. And the big problem that we have, when I explain this point, the big problem that I have from my observations is that everyone plays this card way too quick and way too early. Right? It's a convenient excuse. And that's why I've got to keep emphasizing that you've got to keep pushing. I don't want excuses. I don't want people to be just giving up. But those people who have got excuses, I'm their number one support. I'll be the one who say, no, you don't need to go out. No, you don't need to go that far. Everyone's obligations differ according to their ability, to their reality. So for example, a woman can't be as obligated upon in these things as a man. Because women's movements are restricted, a man's are not. Women's ability to go outside and travel safely, whatever, are limited. Men's are not. If a woman gets married, she's in the authority of now someone else. We're going to come to this issue a lot, in detail later. But how can this person be held the same accountable, as the son, whose direct responsibility is to look after their parents, and they are not in the authority of anyone else. They are the authority. And so we know that when a woman gets married, the husband replaces the father. And therefore, when the husband now becomes in the position of the father, he gets a greater right than the father does to be listened to be obeyed, movements, and so on and so forth, until he starts to do something completely haram or unacceptable. And we'll open up on that later. So we can't, from the Sharia point of view, say that the woman is as accountable for looking after her parents when she's married in a household with another family, restricted by her husband, like the son. Not possible. So these barriers are either physical, they're legal, or they're mental. A person has been abused so much, scarred so badly, trauma so serious that they physically can't do a certain thing. So if that's the case, then I'll say, then you write. If you can't write, send gifts. If you can't send gifts, if you say, I can't even think of that person, then you got to then just trust in Allah and ask Allah to forgive you and say, Ya Allah, you put me in that situation. I tried my best, and I'm happy to meet you while saying that I tried my best. And if you're happy to meet Allah whilst you tried your best, then I'm happy to support you. But you better be sure that you tried your best. That's it.